It's always great to have Elliot for Tuesdays at Elliot, but today will be extra special good. We'll have him at 3. Then Jordan Mailata joins us at 4. Wonder what we'll ask him about, so on and so forth. So, Ike, a crazy day yesterday after A.J. Brown makes the passing comment, and then Brandon Graham on the Brandon Graham Show for about 25 minutes sort of unleashes on the whole situation and apologizes for it, so on and so forth. Where we haven't talked really about it very much since you left the show yesterday.
Yeah.
Where are you on all this?
Well, I mean, listen, it's been a crazy 12, 15 hours, something like that, 16 hours that this story has been going on since Brandon was on with the on the Brandon Graham Show last night with you and Howard, and I'm sitting in the car listening to the show, and my mouth hit the floor, and I'm like, what the hell is going on right now?
I was texting you guys. I was like, hey, you guys should listen.
I was listening. I was certainly listening, and I did not expect that. But let me say this, and we'll dive into it, and I know I've been listening to the show, to the station ever since. And there's been so many different points of views on what happened, and I'm glad we got a chance to hear Brandon this morning. I know he wanted to sort of walk back some of the things he said, but more importantly, he wanted to sort of apologize to his teammates for bringing it out last night, for doing exactly what he was accusing A.J. Brown of doing, essentially, which is bringing in-house business to the outside world, to the media platform. That's ironically what he was doing last night when he aired what appeared to be the team's laundry. But let me say this. You know, I've had a couple of different reactions to this thing. Like, oh, man, I cringe. Like, nah, this ain't going to be good, BG. This ain't going to be good. We got to clean this up, BG, right? I went through all those different types of emotions. And then you hear BG talk about it, and you hear how passionate he is about it. Because I hear this, and I don't hear a guy who's trying to create issues in the locker room, a guy who's trying to be messy, who's trying to break the team up. You know, I had issues a few years ago with the San Liquido article and guys that did it that way. Because I felt like
about
guys
Carson
had different agendas as opposed to bringing the team together. It felt like, you know, guys were trying to expose someone or what have you. So that gave me a different feeling. This doesn't give me that feeling. And BG has earned that, in my opinion. His track record, in my opinion, speaks for itself. He's always been about unification, bringing people together, bringing his teammates together, rallying around each other, and sort of blocking out noise. Now, people say, well, then why did he do what he did? Here's my take on that. I think he felt he needed to do it. Now, he may regret it afterwards because it upset a lot of people or what have you, and it caused a great sort of storm around the team and his teammates. I get that, and he has to fix that inside the building. I think he's earned the benefit of the doubt, not only from us, but from his teammates as well and the organization, that they'll get that fixed on that side of things. He is from a place of loving and caring and connectivity.
On the BG side of things.
On the BG side.
Right.
That's the way I'm looking at it. So
sure.
I look at this and I say, Spike, to answer your question, I think this is something that they can rally around. I really do. There's been a couple times this year where things could have went left, right? Whether the outcome of a game, offense not playing well, defense not playing well early, Nick, whether he's overly involved, being too much of a risk taker with going forward on fourth downs and 2-point conversions, all those things, and they found a way to navigate themselves to where they are right now, to where it hasn't broken the team apart. I think BG was reacting to what A.J. Brown said Sunday, and from BG's perspective, he didn't like seeing or hearing that. He wants you to support the quarterback. He wants you to try to make it work with him. This is coming from BG. This is what I took from it. So he's trying to bring these guys together. I think it can be a good thing. I really do. I don't think this is something that's going to break this team apart. I think there's enough strong leadership and character within those walls. I think Nick Sirianni, I was so impressed with him this morning and how he handled poignant and difficult questions from Joe DeCamera this morning. Good job by Joe and John Ritchie with the interview this morning with Coach Sirianni. They didn't duck the question. He didn't duck the answers. Like, he gave the answers that he could that would be more of a uplifting and building team together thing versus feeding into what's already out here. I thought Nick Sirianni handled that perfectly as best he could this morning. That also gave me encouragement. That gave me encouragement that we talk about what does Nick Sirianni do on this team. Well, damn it, you're about to see once again what he does. We put so much value in schemes and everybody being the smartest and this and that and the other next genius of a coach with X's and O's. Well, this is where being a coach and a leader of men really matters. This is where Mike Tomlin really makes his money. This is where John Harbaugh really makes his money for two coaches who haven't won a Super Bowl in over a decade. They make their money because they're able to put a serviceable team out there that's going to try hard and play hard and give you everything they got, even in times of adversity. They're able to keep the locker room together. This is where Nick Sirianni will prove again what he brings to this team and his value of this team. I'm not that concerned. I think the leadership is stronger. I think Brandon bringing it out as much as bad as it may feel right now, I think ultimately it's something that needed to be said because they had to address it. I agree with Joe Giglio, who I just listened to. They had to address this. It's an elephant in the room on that team. And sometimes when you got two principals that are that big and that strong-minded, some guys don't know how to approach those guys and say, fix it. Well, this was Brandon's way of doing it. Well, and he's earned that. 15 years, longer than anybody here on this team. He's put on that uniform, and he's been through it all. He's seen it all from Andy to Chip to Riley Cooper to Michael Vick to all of it. Winning Super Bowls to 2020 with Wentz and all. He's seen it all. He's been through it all. He's earned the right. He's earned it more than anybody to speak his truth. Everybody may not have liked it. I think it was coming from a good place, and I think ultimately – I don't know if it's going to lead to a Super Bowl win or anything. I don't think this breaks the team down and you have a repeat of what happened last year. Sorry for being so long-winded.
No.
But I wanted to get that out because I feel like BG has sort of took some slings and arrows today for last night because they wanted this thing to stay in-house and stay smothered and everybody just keep walking around ignoring each other and not getting things fixed. Guess what? Fix it. Your leader called you out. He called out there. He called the situation out. Get it fixed in-house. I got no problem with what BG did.
215-592-9494. Do you think this is going to end up being a good thing or a bad thing for the Eagles? And I largely agree with almost everything you said about it needing to be said, that Brandon has earned the right to do what he did. And, sometimes if there's a fire and nobody's listening, sometimes you have to sound an even bigger alarm than the alarm that's in there. But I'll be super honest because I was sitting there as Brandon was saying it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you were right there.
I was there. And honestly, I felt sick to my stomach most of last night. And this was not a situation where Brandon was baited into saying anything. Brandon clearly came in wanting to say these things. Mm-hmm. And there was no question that we were going to ask. I could have said, hey, Brandon, how's things? And he would have launched right there into that thing. And I drove home and had a long time to think about it. And, I joke a lot that I like controversy because it makes for good radio. Right. I think those sorts of things are sometimes fun. I didn't feel fun when I drove home last night and when I was sitting on the couch last night, because what kept popping up into my head is oh no, this was heading in such a fun direction. You can have your little arguments about should they pass the ball, should they not pass the ball, should Saquon go for the record, all this little stuff around a good team. But last night was the first night since the bye week that I went home and I was like, oh no. And this is just what was going through my head was the wide receiver hates the quarterback. Quarterback doesn't want to talk to the wide receiver. They won't deal with it. So the defensive end who's on IR had to come on the radio and talk for 25 minutes about how nobody's talking to each other. And I agree with everything that you said, except that my natural inclination is to think, oh no, rather than oh yes.
Yeah.
Well,
believe me, I'm not saying oh yes.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
You are looking at the positive potential outcome here, which is possible.
Yeah.
But I'm leaning toward and thinking about last year, and boy, aren't there so many weird 10-1, 11-2, AJ being mad, all this kind of stuff. And I we'll talk about it a lot, but I do think that this week is ultimately a test of Nick. In a lot of ways. It's a test of everybody, but I can't give him credit for the good culture without also saying when the culture goes bad that it's his responsibility
to fix this
to
before
clean
it goes
up.
bad.
Yes,
there's no doubt about it. He has to be able to bring these guys in, have the right words for them that'll unify this team, get them to hash it out as best they can, get out whatever issues there are. If there's something personal between those two guys, if AJ is frustrated with the offense and how it's going, then hash all these things out. Talk it out. But you got to get it out. Because I'm going to say this, and this is the thing that no one wants to think about. But I'll say it. Because this is where we're headed if it doesn't get turned around. Somebody has to go after this season. Because now we're talking about potentially 2 years in a row, this could have derailed the season. Two perfectly good-looking teams, 10-1, 11-1. Now we're 11-2, very promising. And they end like this. You can't bring, if there's going to be an issue here that can't be resolved, this isn't the coach. So quit looking for him to be the scapegoat here. If there's an issue here with those two guys, and I'm going off what Brandon said. This ain't about speculation, and I know Brandon walked it back and he apologized. He should have talked to them first. What he didn't say was he made anything up.
Right.
So there is something there. And so this, whatever it is, needs to get taken care of and get resolved, because if this becomes a deterrent to this team and where they're headed, and this causes the team to, an early playoff exit because it looks like they aren't connected, then they got to do something about it this offseason.
Look what they did in Buffalo. I'm not saying Stephon Diggs is A.J. Brown, but Buffalo, there was a problem, and they're like, all right, well, we're going to pick one. We're going to pick one.
And that's what you're going to have to do.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. They can't get along, and if this is an issue, then this is what the organization is going to be faced with, a decision this offseason. We're going to bring it back again next year and hope that everything works out again?
Right. You can't do that again.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
So we do have a next question today because we have a prize.
Get it together, fellas.
We have a prize for next question today. So we have a Hand and Stone massage and facial spa gift card, good for a 50-minute massage or facial. You can give the gift of results this holiday season at Hand and Stone Massage and Facial Spa. Buy a spa package, get a free massage or facial gift card. Anyone will enjoy their massage services and rejuvenating glow of their facial services. All right, we're gonna do famous feuds because we had talked to Donovan about Donovan T.O. yesterday. Now we have AJ Jalen. So you will call with your sports point. We'll ask you next question. Ask you for a famous feud. Jack, you have a famous feud?
Yeah, Howard versus City of Philadelphia. Once again yesterday, showing up and all over ESPN today.
Wearing a
Mets jacket. So.
Howard versus the City of Philadelphia.
Yep.
Healthy.
Very healthy.
My famous feud is one that you guys won't know, but I think a lot of the listening audience will know, is Oasis versus Blur. So Oasis and Blur were two very big British rock bands in the 90s. They hated each other. They took shots at each other constantly. It was so big that you had to pick which band that you liked, whether it was Oasis or Blur. They wrote books about it. So my famous feud is Oasis and Blur. Jack's is Howard versus the City of Philadelphia. Ike, do you have a famous feud?
Well,
I know.
Well, you know where I'm going.
I know one that goes to the core of Ike.
Man, it's the core of Ike, Shaq and Kobe, baby.
There it is.
That's what we do.
True feud.
Famous.
That was a feud.
Man,
that was a feud.
That.
All right, 215-592-9494.
And quite frankly, a feud that had to happen.
It did.
Had to happen for Kobe to become Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, I think it was.
There's no way he becomes Kobe along with Shaq.
Yeah, I think the legend of everything. It was. And they squashed it eventually. So
but it had to happen.
It did. I thought it had to happen as well.